I'm going to show you how to make a pair of my circle drop earrings today. This is one of them. It's a sterling silver hammered circle with an apatite drop and a sterling silver wire, and they look really cute on. So I've got my kit set up here ready to go. I've chosen 1.5mm gauge sterling silver round wire. You could choose square, you could use the beaded wires, patterned wire, anything you fancy. I've also got two very sparkly labradorite rondelles here from Kernowcraft, along with sterling silver head pins with the ball on the end, and a pair of sterling silver hook ear wires. I've also laid out all of my tools here. So I've got my planishing hammer because I'm going to use this round end here for making my hammered texture. I've got my little short stubby slightly heavier hammer here, which I'm going to use for making sure they're nice and flat. Then I've got my Wubber's pliers here. This is the medium size and I'm going to use the larger jaw on these, but you don't need to use these. You could also use a DAP from a doming set. This is a 10 and it's about a 9.9mm, or you could use a pretty solid nice round pen, but make sure it's not a tapered one because otherwise you'll get different sizes. I've then set out my easy solder. I'm going to use paste today. You can use pallions, whatever you prefer. So I've got my 1.5mm round silver wire and my Wubber pliers, and I'm just going to wrap around a couple of times to get my hoops. Make sure they're complete. There we go. So now I've got my double wrap of silver. What I'm going to do is I'm going to saw across here. Don't forget your eye shields. Oops. There we go. So I've now got my two silver rings. Make sure the ends of your rings sit nice and close. You don't want any gaps when you're soldering them. It's best to kind of overlap them and click them back in. So now it's time to add some solder. I'm just going to pop some solder across both seams there and get my torch ready. And I'm just going to pop those in my quench bowl. I'm going to take these down because they may well ping as I hammer them. So I've just used a bit of masking tape, and then I'm using a small round end of the hammer to get my hammered texture. Lots and lots of little hits. Tape will now be stuck in the middle. Just give it a little poke. There we go. And I'm just going to do the other side as well. And now I'm going to pop them in my pickle. So these little beauties have just come out of the pickle, and as you can see they're quite white from the pickle. So I am going to give them a rub over with some 4-0 wire wool. As you can see, they're nice and silver and quite shiny now. I'm going to pop mine in my barrel polisher to make them a bit shinier. You could use some polishing compound or a silver cloth. If you don't have a barrel polisher, it's not necessary. It's just a bit more elbow grease. So the rings have just come out of the tumbler, and as you can see they're now super duper shiny and ready to be made up into earrings. So first things first, I'm going to get my labradorite beads out and pop them on my work mat. Then I'm going to get myself a couple of head pins. There we go. Oh, I've got 3. Okay, let's put one over there. So I'm going to thread the head pin through the rondelle like that, and do the same with the other one. There we go. 2 on the head pins. I've got myself out my round nose pliers, I've got some flat nose curved pliers, and I've got a pair of flush cutters as well. So to start with, I'm going to put a loop a little way up from the actual bead, if you can see that, because I'm going to wrap these on. You don't have to wrap them on, but obviously it does make them much more secure. So I put a little bend in the wire, and I pull the wire over into a loop and pull it down, but don't wrap it. And now we're going to do the same on the other one. And wire over again, and round in a loop again, don't wrap it. So now we're going to thread our little silver hammered circles on. You might just need to manipulate that loop a little bit to give yourself space so that you've got them hanging from the hoops. Now you can wrap them. So yeah, if you're going to do this with plain wire, I'd suggest plain hoops, sorry. I'd suggest using thicker wire. There we go, and I've just wrapped mine around with my fingers, and I'm going to snip the tail, but that's what they look like. There we go. So I'm just going to snip the tail off. So I'm going to get that as close to that wire wrap as possible, right in there with the very, very nib of my cutters there. And then I'm going to store the offcut and use that later for another project. Yeah, I'm just going to use the little tiny nib of these pliers to just push the end in there. There we go. So we're part way there. So here's the second one. I'm just going to pop the circle through there, and I'm going to hold the very bottom of the loop I'm about to wrap with the nib of these pliers, and then I'm just going to wrap it around with my fingers. There we go, nice and neat. And then again I'm going to snip the tail with my flush cutters. There we go, and tuck any little dangly bits in so they don't catch. There we go. So now I've got the two little hoops with the beads on. Now I'm going to add the ear wires. So I've got my pair of ear wires here. These are really nice ones. They've got the lovely ball on the end as well, so they look really smart when they're on. And I'm just going to choose the best side of the circle as well from where you've been hammering, because the back side will be a little bit flatter and you want the most textured side. So I'm just going to pop that onto the end of the earring, and you can just squish that shut with your thumb so it's on there nice and tightly, and there we go. Now just do the other one. Again, I'm going to choose the side that I prefer as the front, pop that on, and I'm just going to push the ball of the ear wire backwards. There we go, so it's holding it in place, and there we are. So I just thought I'd show you these on. They look really cute, little danglies. But don't forget that you can change up the beads, change up the size of the circles, you can change the circles to different shapes. Anything you like really, just have fun. I hope you enjoy making them.